never use brakes. You always gear down and take it slow. Use brakes if you have to. Why? Because nothing we know is safe without brakes. Now, where do we get all this from? We get Isaiah 6:5 when Isaiah tells us the name of his horse. Oh, Isaiah had a horse because he said, "Woe is me." The jokes are very bad. So if you're offended, leave now. They're not going to get any better. There's no hope of it after all these years. The jokes are still pitiful. But his horse's name was Isme. But he says, woe. And you know, when Jesus gets into our face in the scribes and Pharisees, he says 7 woes. Now that woe is spelled a little different than we spell it. It's spelled W-O-E. And he says, woe to the scribes and Pharisees. Woe to the hypocrites. And he spells out 7 things that really concern him. Because he said, this is what I'm not about. Wow. So in implication, what he's really saying, this over here is what I am about. And he proceeds to tell them what they are about. Now, I'm going to be straightforward and blunt with you as if I've never been before. Conservatives, which we would all probably classify ourselves, always focus on the no. Liberals always focus on the go. Now, I'm here to tell you that neither of them are right. You must have a woe to have a go. You must have discipline to have passion, because passion, a horse without passion cannot perform anything, but a horse without constraint cannot achieve it. But there's 2 problems. Number one, having no passion to constrain, and number 2, having no constraint over passion. And so you and I were called to be passionate, bold, noble people with assertive plans, and yet we were called to people control and discipline. So the first thing we put on horses is the word woe. Why? Because you can't have a go without a woe. So this mare over here, we're just going to start her, and we start with 7 basic woes in a horse. Okay, and the more woes we put on them before we put much go in them, the happier we often are, because we're still alive at the end of the program. And so we just start, James, not Jacob, is just going to get this mare to go, and we're going to use a physical fence. And Cammie, I'll let you come up here and just start saying, see, this mare's going to be a little awkward about going because she's not sure what James wants. And so what we're looking for is for James and Cammie over here to stop this horse on this physical fence by going, whoa. Now, we don't want to touch the horse. Why? Because we want the horse to begin to use physical consequence, physical limitations to hear with our voice. The purpose of restraints. The purpose of all no's are always a yes. We want them to find something that's needed in their life and valued in their life. And that's why Jesus said, don't waste your time tithing dill and cumin. Don't waste your time dressing the outside and not dealing with the inside, being full of dead men's bones. Don't waste your priorities putting on the external image and walking around with scripture written on your head and on your wrist and not understanding the heart of it. And so every one of Jesus' 7s were something on the external that didn't correlate to something on the internal. So we have to start where people are, where the horse is. Must start with the external. Okay, that's why we put babies in cribs, because they can't comprehend. So we're using, see how James is kind of forcing that horse into the fence? Why? Because James isn't telling the horse to stop. James is telling the horse that if he didn't stop, whoa, he might have a headache. And see, that starts to capture, and if the horse runs through it and hits his head on it, well, he's going to listen better the next time. Now, all of this is about one verse in Proverbs. By loving kindness and truth, iniquity is atoned for. Let's say it together. By loving kindness, let's say it together. By loving kindness and truth, iniquity is atoned for. Well, what's that got to do with Greek salad? Well, here we go. First of all, you have to understand some things about language, because we're going to take this horse and we're going to learn to put 7 woes on. While they're just doing that one, we're going to work on that just a little bit. Number one, when we work with a horse, for us to get the same language, we must understand that the horse has a head, and they call this behavior. Behind a head is a shoulder called the attitude, and behind the attitude is the hip called the motive. And so in order to get to the hip, which is where we really want to stop the horse back here, or the heart, we have to work through behavior issues, surface, visual appearing things. We must work through attitudinal things. We must get to the heart of things. Now, in every relationship where you and I live selfishly, there are 3 violations that normally happen. First is the horse backs up. Tomorrow evening you'll see this very clearly with that 4-year-old mare. She'll back up and pull on our horses, and that's called sin. The second is where the horse runs off. You'll see it tomorrow night even clearer. You're going to see it this morning. This thing called iniquity, where the horse runs off and they become headstrong. Okay, because there are 3 relationships that get violated. Whoa. And the third is trespass. Trespasses are what you do to people. They are stealing, murder, et cetera, okay? The sins that we normally see. We trespass or transgress against another human being. Iniquity is what we do against our own heart, our own future, our own character. All we like sheep have gone astray, and the Lord has turned on, or God has turned on Jesus, the iniquity of us all. You're headstrong, stubborn, full-headed, self-will. Jesus paid the price, not for what we got caught doing, but for who we are by our sin nature. That's iniquity. And sin is keeping the back door open, always reserving the right to be the final authority of our lives and setting ourselves above the Almighty. So when we live selfishly, okay, good. So I'm going to take this colt, and I'm going to start with him on another no, another woe, okay? So I'm going to take this colt right here, and I'm going to take, quit. You're all looking for a rodeo. I can see that. Stay. Ho. I'm going to hobble his feet. Why? The purpose of all knows, the almighty purpose of all knows, is for us to find rest. Okay? God has called us to a place of rest, that we may enter the rest through belief. So the thing we teach the horse is how to accept a no so that he can rest. Now, not all kids want to rest. But children need to learn to sit quietly. They need to learn to be content. They need to play with their own toys and not violate us. So we've got these 2 horses now, and all we have is a physical boundary. We start all nose with a physical fence, a round pen fence, a 6-foot-high fence. We start all with physical boundaries because nobody, and physical pain is the one thing that teaches everybody there are absolutes. Our world doesn't believe in absolutes, but gravity still works, inertia still works, thermodynamics still work, and physical pain. No 2 things can occupy the same place at the same time, and if I'm going to occupy this fence, then somebody's going to hurt. Boom! That law has never changed since the beginning of mankind. And when this horse is constrained, he has to learn. He can move around a little bit, but he's basically constrained to learn how to rest and find whatever he can. So the second thing we're going to work on is where we start to connect physical outsides to internals. Okay, so now we're expecting the child to look at it, to stop crying when we put it in a particular position, things like that. You see, for me, in my life, when all things are made perfect or all things are for His glory, then anytime I think there's something that doesn't match up, I think God's wrong. And as a child, I thought no's and don'ts and can'ts are restrictions to my freedom, to what I thought was good. And so I often found rebellion in my heart. Now, see this mare rest right here? Okay. Oh, he already broke the hobble. So I got 1 stallion and 2 mares. This ought to be an exciting morning. All right, you guys watch your mares. I'll get the rogue over here. So apparently, my horse who broke a rein, stinking horse. Anybody want it for 5, 5, 10, 10, 15, 15, 20, 25, 30, 30, 35? Oh, goodness. That's why we never take our kids to a flea market. We're liable to leave them there. We'll catch him up here a little bit. So, one thing about Alert, we always end up with plenty of message, even if we haven't planned on it. You have another rain? Oh, good. That's all right. These will be fine. So, the second thing we're going to work on is lifting the inside shoulder. Before we get on a colt that can send us into the earth, we want to know that we can connect the mouth and the feet. Now, you may not be able to see this, so I'm going to give him a second chance to rest. Okay? Now, he should know that when he gets on this block, he is allowed to rest. But he's full of it today, and he thinks he's got a better idea. You have to get further in, James. Watch the foot next to James. There it is. Good. When it turns in. Watch the foot next to Cam. You say, well, there it is right there. Well, what's that got to do with tea in China? Well, let me put it this way. Back. Whenever... Okay. Cammy, get your horse ready to drive. Ho. Whenever you're on a horse that's going to help you have a soil test, you have to break the alignment. Where's my cue stick? All right, there, I'll take it. Okay. How many of you have horses, by the way? Let me see your hands when I turn my head. Any people with horses? All right, good. You're all smarter than that. You spend your money somewhere else. A horse is an object on earth in which you spend all your money on. Now, whenever a horse takes off, first of all, the power of a horse is in their alignment. Both spin, stop, cut, dressage, whatever discipline or things the horses are involved in, this is where they are powerful this way. But when they want to rear, buck, run off, their power is also in alignment. All of us have an alignment to the world, the flesh, and the devil. We have an affinity to the things of the flesh. We have an identity with the world. We have a value system of the world. I am going to need that other rain, probably. So we're looking to unalign the horse before he lines up. Will Rogers said it this way: there ain't a horse that can't be rode, and there ain't a cowboy that can't be throwed. So no matter who you think you are, if that horse lines up in this manner and he starts his ascent to get you off, he's going to likely win. So when we have colts that we've never been on before and we're concerned that they are very athletic and they're very good, we're going to teach them on the ground how to do this. So they got that on the ground until this left front foot steps this way. Left front foot. Now, why is that important? For a horse that's going to buck you off, that will be the difference between your life and your death. Because you're unaligning the colt. You're connecting his mouth and his feet to an attitude. Right there. Now, notice that I lift up. By the way, this no is not for your children this morning. This is for parents. This is about how you atone for iniquity. What is iniquity? There we go. Put a rein on my horse, please. And go ahead. And we're going to drive this horse and put the third woe on this horse. And this horse will likely run off. And look out, Jane. Look out. Look, head up. Oh, Cammie lost her horse already. Quickly. No, go get me a rein with snaps on. That'd be fine. All right. Okay. Let's get this mare out of here. James, that mare can go. We'll see her tomorrow night for her first ride. Meanwhile, we got a green horse that's been ridden, but put a rope behind its butt, and it's off to running. Why? Alignment, iniquity. Well, that didn't look like anything I call iniquity. That's because you don't understand the word iniquity. Iniquity is when this horse was frightened, it headed off headstrong. I'm out of here. I know how to get out of here. I know how to find freedom, and I know how to find rest. Rest is the absence of accountability. Rest in this horse's mind is the absence of responsibility. Rest is the absence of conflict. And so this horse immediately went to its own definition to find its own rest. That's iniquity. We all have ways to find our own rest. And eventually it leads to trespass of others, certainly leads and results of sin. So now we're going to take this horse, and if you can get it to the other fence where people can see better, go ahead. Now you notice that this horse is a little ticklish on its hind end. And the best thing that Cammy can do besides, and we always do this in a small arena so we don't have to chase the rope and get that thing off your feet. There you go. Why? Because if it happens to wrap around her spur, we don't usually use ropes with spurs. Good. The best thing Cammy can do is let that horse run into a fence. Why? Because that horse is scared, is not listening, is not hearing because she is acting with iniquity. Okay. Where's James? Where's that rein? Did he go to get one or something? Okay, good. That'll be fine. Good. Jacob. So, obviously this horse is confused. It's not a bad horse. It's just powerless. Why? Because it hears everything as conflicted, confused. It doesn't hear a clear no. Let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay. Let me make sure you understand this, friends and parents. Clarity is the first level of accountability. Without clarity, there is no accountability. That's why your yea must be yea and your nay must be nay. I want you to do this exercise right now by such and such a time. And when we agree with that, we have clarity. So now we get the horse that's moving, and go ahead and see if you can put it into a fence. And we're going to let this horse run into a fence as Cammy uses the word W-O. Why? That allows the horse to hear and respond. And she's going to run that horse like this and say, whoa. Now, here it is, parents. The Bible says, fathers, bring your children up in the fear of the Lord and do not provoke them to exasperation or to frustration. How do you do that? You're never going to see us use 2 reins on a young horse. Yeah, but that horse might, every rider, when they get on a horse that's full of iniquity, they grab with their reins and they hold like this to save themselves. Every parent that feels threatened and upset always uses 2 reins, their position and their spirit, to misuse that authority. So, since we're dealing with iniquity with loving kindness and truth, we only use 1 rein. We persuade people to the truth. The truth does not change. The horse must stop. The horse must hear. The horse must obey. But not because you're bigger than them. Not because you wave a heavy wand, but because it needs a link with their irresponsible nature. So we use 1 rein and we use a physical fence. Thank you. Change reins on this horse. Okay. James will just keep those to himself. There you go. Yeah, go put the other one on, please. And no match. This one may break on me, too. You never know. All right. I'll take that one. Good, thank you. Now, so Jesus is telling us this, basically, as we translate, woe. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees. Woe to you who have a label, but no substance. Woe to you who have the externals, but no heart. Woe to you who call yourselves Christians but have no power, no self-control, no evidence of the Holy Spirit, no fruit of the Holy Spirit. Woe to you who make rules for other people but don't enter yourself. Woe to you that have more law than love, more rules and more rhetoric than relationship. Whoa! Stop! Find out what I'm here for. I came that you might have life. I didn't come to keep you from sin. I came to bring you for righteousness. We must leave sin so we can enter into righteousness. We don't ride a horse so it doesn't buck. We don't ride a horse so it doesn't run off. The woes are simply the brakes. You don't hang on to the brakes on your rig and you don't worship your brakes. The brakes are just the means by which you get to your destination. They are not the end in themselves. They're the means to the ends. That's important. Okay, now, you see this horse resting? See his mouth, it softens. See the feet move when she puts pressure on it. So she stopped it on the fence. Now she's stopping away from the fence. So this one requires a physical boundary. Whoa. This one requires a relational boundary. Whoa. Ah. And you must go from physical limitations. The purpose of a physical limitation is so you can build a relational boundary. Love does no wrong, no, to his neighbor. So that love can do right for their neighbor. It's not about the no, what you can't do. It's about the yes, what you can do. And the reason we put the woe on the horse is so we can start to harness and direct its motions to accomplish great things. So when Jesus says, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you're saying you're using everything I've taught you through Moses, everything I've taught you through the law, and you're misusing it to subdue others, to intimidate others, to exalt yourself, and to hollow out and pretend that you're righteous. So, very good. All right, take those. That's good. Great job. Now, you notice how this horse is resting. Why? Because the rest, the woe, tells the horse how to be in relationship. So when your children are fighting over toys or whatever, the answer is not you have to share your toys. Christianity has the greatest form of communism at its core. That because every child has toys, they should automatically share. That's communism, folks. When you give a toy to a child, they have the right to use it for themselves and not share it if they don't want to. That's proprietorship. That's stewardship. And they get to share it if they want to. They don't have to share it because you gave it to them. Same with our lives. And so we have to realize that you must honor the child's right to give or not give, even at the child level. Same with the horse. They don't have to give, but they have to learn how to respond in order to have rest. So this horse, by obeying us, starts to get that. Now, we're going to put Cammie on this horse. We're going to, okay, so now we're going to do two more things. You can only do this with a horse that's bridled and saddled. So first of all, we're going to take the rein, watch this carefully, and we're going to stop on the outside shoulder. And we're going to hold that shoulder. Now watch this, folks. You're not going to get this. Okay, watch this carefully. Whoa. And I'm going to take this rein until this shoulder unlocks and steps behind the other leg. We never stop our horses. That's what this was all about. No, we don't. We teach them how to move in accordance with harmony. Whoa. So we wait until this shoulder steps back underneath and the horse automatically releases himself. You cannot produce rest in a horse. You cannot produce peace in a person's life. You cannot produce security in a child's life. You cannot produce significance in a child's life. You must help them with the universal boundaries and principles that God gave us until they find something on the internal that only God can give. God is the only person who can give peace. God is the only person who can give character. So when we take this, watch this carefully. If we just watch this carefully. If I just stop, whoa, and rest my rein, I teach the horse how to behave. Wasn't that what we're here for? Not at all. Not at all. The no in your life is not to teach children to behave. Now watch carefully. It's far greater than that. Now watch very carefully because I don't want a horse that stops. I'll go this way so you can all see it. And I realize I've been up at that end. Maybe you haven't seen. Now I'm going to stop on the left rein. Whoa. And I'm going to wait until this shoulder steps behind like this and the horse automatically releases the rein. Actually, I don't even care that he stops. I care that he unlocks his attitude. Why? Because the only way this horse can honor me is when he moves his feet correctly with a soft attitude. The only way, you see, what the Jews had is they had all kinds of behaviors. They were more righteous than you and I ever hoped to be. But they had no character. They were haughty, self-righteous, judgmental, mean-spirited, arrogant. And Jesus said, you guys are hollow. You're full of dead men's bones. You got all the externals. You have no substance. And we in Christianity, conservative Christianity, are likely to imitate that because it's easier to control than it is to influence. It's easier to stop the horse than it is to empower the horse. So when we do this, we watch this. We change. Watch this. That doesn't mean we don't deal with behavior. We stop the behavior. And we wait until the behavior and the spirit, the attitude catches up and the horse gets soft. The moment the horse moves his feet correctly, softly, he automatically enters into a rest. like a child that's upset and crying, and suddenly the tone of voice changes because you realize now the spirit of the child has changed. When the child has been disciplined for some reason, and not do they fight against the discipline, and suddenly their spirit changes. They look you in the eye, they hug you. Why? Because the purpose isn't to behave, the purpose is to walk in fellowship. In fellowship. The two of us cannot be agreed unless we agree on the right footfalls, the righteous behavior, and the right spirit. And that's why Jesus upped the ante and said, you guys have missed the mark. Catch the heart. And the way to catch the heart is to get past the shoulder. Now, we're going to take this horse, and we're going to just circle this horse, this green horse, and stop it on the outside rein. Whoa. Go ahead and get out there. Now, the right rein is the outside rein. It's always on the outside of the circle. We're going to hold that. Now, this may seem a little boring to you, but we're going to up this ante a little bit. Hold. Notice how the horse pulls on the rein, opens its mouth and complains, and fights and argues with it. Good. And Cammie just stayed the course. Do not add pressure. You're exasperating the horse. Whoa. Stay ho. Ho. Add this direction, not pressure. Until the horse gets it. Even if he's a slow learner. Until he gets it and he finds the unlock on his own. Children must discover the unlock in their own spirit because that's what makes them mighty in spirit, makes them achieve something far beyond churchianity, conservatism, and parental control. They must become mighty. They must learn about their own spirit through your training. And that's what we empower the horse for. So why are you using the inside rein? What do you work? Oh, you're using the outside still? See how this horse drags its feet? This horse has attitude issues. Every time a horse is stiff in its shoulder, it has attitude issues. So do I. I can look so good when I'm on a pulpit or the horse does good and preach maybe well. But man, getting there some days with my attitude is another ball game, isn't it? Some of you came to family camp because you want to teach your children about the Lord, and you've complained about the trailer all the way getting here, setting up, and if it rains, you're going to complain. Stink. That's where the rubber hits the road. It is, because you see, we cannot worship God unless we worship, according to John 4, in spirit and in truth, in action, in attitude, in deed, and in our spirit. So, why? Because we want this horse to be governed by softness, so that he's always light. Good. And this horse, you see this horse, see him open his mouth? See him drag his feet? How come? How come he can't play? That's exactly what he's doing. He's arguing. Good. And he's locking up. Well, number one, it's not because he's a bad horse. He's a normal horse with a normal problem. Every person has resistance in this area. This is the horse's self-nature. Now, this horse is not violently dangerous. He's just unskilled in humbling himself. You may think of yourselves as humble, friends, but you're not even close to it unless you get the right footfall through education and the right spirit through repetition. So, when we stop the horse, watch carefully. This horse, we don't stop them. Watch carefully. Whoa. Watch him start to unlock immediately through my foot. Good. That's the key to greatness. Why? Because it sets the horse up for success. Let me show you this. You see, your spirit, that's why gratitude is such an important thing. And you cannot be grateful to God, to your parents, if you're still grousing on the inside, if you're still resisting the no, the whoa, what you can't do, because everybody else outplays. So when I set this horse up, and I take his hips around like this, and I unlock him, stop, unlock, then it sets him up for this canter depart right there. For great things. He's ready to obey in a moment. Okay? Whoa. All right. Okay. So let's just walk and review. First of all, we stop a horse through physical stopping. You must have consistent boundaries. When I counsel with people whose marriages are shot and they're fighting over the custody of the child, That physical fence is the only fence we have if we can get those two parties working together to at least give certain bedtime, certain consistency from home to home. And the devil's primary goal is to break down consistent no's so you have consistent yeses and you lose hope. So we get that physical fence. The second thing we get is the outside fence right here. I'll take the horse out, and she's got that on that horse. We stop right here. Whoa. One rein, and we unlock the shoulder all the time. Why? Because you will not rest. Doesn't matter about pleasing me until you unlock that shoulder attitude, drop your head and say, I got it. Now, third thing we take is the inside WO. So we pick up that horse. I'm going to get this horse canter, let him off, and if he goes to bucking and I just pick up like this, I'll hold on to that. Hopefully my life will too, until that horse unlocks that front shoulder. I don't worry about stopping him. I worry about him unlocking that shoulder. If he runs off again and takes off, I do not pull back. I pick up. I call the horse to unalign themselves with the world and realign themselves with their conscience. I do not try to control their behavior. And as he runs, that's hard to do on a bucking horse. I just pick up this rein like this until he unlocks that shoulder. And he runs off again. Let him. That's not my problem. My problem is getting him soft so he doesn't go vertical. I hold there until he gets. Now watch him decide to stop. Oh. Okay, trot your horse and pick up the inside rein, Cammie. Now he's not skilled at this. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up till that inside leg steps around and back. Pull it back just a little. Pick it up there, release. Good. We do not release the horse. We do not release the horse until the horse releases us. Now, that's not always possible because you could have a horse flipping over on you or whatever. The key is not adding pressure. The key is not releasing pressure because the child whines. When there's a great discrepancy between parents, one parent will think that you're not emotionally understanding. The other parent will say, well, you're not consistent enough. You need to hold the line. The truth of it is you need to hold the line until the smallest recognition of responsibility takes place. The moment this horse hears, that's responsibility. How do you know the horse hears? Because he said he'd do it. He runs off. How do you know the horse hears? Only one way, friends. His feet move. Don't buy into the rhetoric. I'm sorry. No, you aren't. When your feet change, you heard. Oh. Now, we're going to go to another issue here, and we're going to take and do the hind end stop. We're adding another woe to our horse, but before she does it, not yet. Okay. Now this horse is, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to take this horse now and we're going to unalign him in another way. We're going to trot him up here and pick up and take this spur to the outside hip. For those of you who ride bad horses, this may save your life. We're going to take that hip right out like that. Okay, even on a bucking horse. Well, no horse can buck vertically going sideways very long. Now, it only takes one good buck to get you off. So when we take this horse and we let him run off like this and start to buck, we're going to pick him up and go like this and throw that hip out. He's going to start to buck again. We're going to throw that hip to the outside and we're going to throw that hip to the outside to watch the horse, watch this colt till he says, I think I'll just stay here. Good idea. When it's his idea, it seems like a good one. Now, let's pick up your trot and see what you get and use that spur pretty lucratively on that horse. See what we get. Spur. There we go. Pick up! Pick up! Pick up! Use that spur! Look out! Are you all right? I asked her if she wanted to do this. You think it's hard here? I'd much rather be there than here. Okay? Why? Because that little snot, the moment you touch him, and she would much rather James be on that horse. Now, pick him up, may move, shorten your rein. She can ride this horse. Now, he's going to buck. I'm telling you. Pick up, take one rein. Don't forget. Pick up, put that spur in the horse. See, she wants to take more rein. Take more leg. Throw that hip out. Throw that hip out. Get that spur in and throw it out. Move. Get that spur in that horse. Release. There you go. Good. Now, my audiences get offended once in a while. I throw my staff under the bus. They're used to it. Why? Because I'm not upset with them. I'm telling them, unless you act now, you're dead. We're not playing games here. Unless you learn obedience and you learn how to deal with those woes, you're a dead person. Cammie's a good rider, and she's an athlete, but you know what? She could have just pick it up, throw that spur in. More spur than rein. You're using rein. Use that spur. Take your body and throw that hip to the outside. Let that snot have it. Good. There you go. Now hip. Good. Release. Now let him move off. He's going to want to buck again. Get that snot out of that stinking horse. Go. Pick up and push him over. Get that spur in. You're lifting your calf up too much. There you go. Good. Oh, good. Good. Let him move off. Pick up. Take that spur. Less rein this time. Spur. Watch that horse start to throw his hip to the outside. Oh, good deal. Take him. No, you're letting him come in on the front end. Take that hip to the outside. There you go. Good. Release. When it gets it, release. Now pick up. Throw that spur out again. Put him out. Pick up. Get that hip out. Good job. Good. A little more. Good. And you pay for that, don't you? You love your money's worth. Bunch of bloodthirsty people. Now, most horses will buck when you put a spur in them like that. Come on to the right side, Cammie. Now, when we take that horse out, we're going to let him go out of defense at a canter, and he might fall over on you. That's the worst part about this deal. They might just fall over on you. They run off, go to buck. We just take that spur. And notice that I will use a lot more spray. Everybody wants to use just their rein like this. Every horse person uses their rein all the time, like this. They don't use their legs. You know what that does? It controls them for the moment. It controls behavior. And with Cammie, with James, with young riders, I got to teach them to relax that hand. So I let them run off. I let the horse go to bucket, and I pick up and I throw that hip out. Notice this rein is a little light. Pick up, throw that hip out. Pick up, ride off. Push him out. Throw that hip out. Less rein, less rolls, more engagement. That's a whoa. Now, you don't have to stop, and you don't have to buck either. But by golly, if you're going to buck, you're going to work. Good. Until you decide, that whoa is for my benefit. That whoa is about go. Now, Cammie, good. Let me on your pony a second. Good. He's a little, see how sticky this horse is up front? Let me have your pony a second. Now, he's not a bad horse, and Cammie's doing a great job with him. But what's missing is what we're all about. What's missing? Not enough release. What do you mean release? That horse didn't buck, and I don't want him not to buck. That's what I said. I don't want the horse not to buck. I want the horse to buck. I don't mind a kid's rebellion. I don't mind a kid's discouragement. Why? Because we all have it. What I want them to know is what to do with it when they have it. So I'm going to take this coat up, and I'm going to throw that hip out until this coat gives me some ammunition to work with. Drive him up here, and he wants a buck right there, and I'm going to push that hip out until this horse rests. He's heavy on his hind end. I'm going to move him up, little fat boy. Move up here. Throw him out. Heavy on his mouth. He's still arguing with me. I'm going to move him up till it gets light on his mouth. I don't jerk them. I meet their mouth. See that mouth of his? Heavy on his feet. This horse is lazy about his attitudes. Whoa. Good boy. They seem a little rough. Tell you what, it's better than a horse learned to buck. The moment he got Cammie off, he got rewarded for bad behavior. Whatever gets rewarded gets repeated, friends. Every habit in a horse is a rewarded condition. You say, well, you never did that before. You never asked it of him before. There are many of us that are unyielded in our lives. We just haven't been pushed to the limit. You don't know what you are until the only release you have is the cross. So we're going to take this rein, give this horse head so that he can buck. We're going to take that hip. There's where they fall over on you. Not the face. Move that hip. See how he doesn't move his hip? What are we doing? He's a scribe, a Pharisee. See the mouth? He's wanting to keep me at the mouth. He argues with me, pulls his head. Why does he do that? He's probably been rewarded for saying the right things. He's a conservative, useless, not powerful. We're telling him what he can't do. You see, when he's powerful, his feet will move fluidly. And his mouth, there it is. Look at his mouth stay shut this time. Watch his mouth stay shut. And his body gets softer. When I pick up on that rein, that hip should move. Good. When Jesus speaks to you, friends, your feet should move, not your mouth. We have all the rhetoric down. We grew up in a church. I get it. I'm not critical, friends. But I get immune to the truth. May God plow up our hard-pan soil this week. All things, including for this horse, are perfect. Why? To teach this horse to be powerful, light, and soft. To reach a potential he's never reached before. There he's starting. There he goes. Now when he hears, look at his feet move first. Cammie didn't do anything wrong. She's a young parent. She's just happy her kids aren't crying. Now watch. When I pick up that rein, that hip moves right away. Besides, I knew she's probably worn out. Pick up that rein, that hip, that mouth. And when he stalls on me, I'm gonna get after him. Whenever I ask this horse to obey, he moves his heart, his hip. Watch carefully. Lift, hip, yes. Lift, hip, good. Lift, hip, ah, yes, butter. And that becomes the precursor for this. This is a great horse. But he will never reach greatness as long as he is arguing with the woes. Why? The purpose of the woe is for the go. Okay, Cammie, there you go. Good job. Thank you for getting him warmed up for me. I'm done with him. Now, we're going to take Spizzerinctum here. We're going to put him on the real woes. Yeah, please. Now, before we, I'll get you done here shortly. So we know whenever these reins touch this horse's mouth, it should make a change in his body. If I lift him up, his head should drop. Every time I make a mouth movement, his body. So I'm going to move him sideways. And then I'm going to put him in where we stop him on one rein at a canter. We only stop our colts on one rein. We use two reins to get him in position, hold him in form, but not pull back. We lift up. Why? Because we're calling him to accountability, to unalign with the world, to soften and align with us. Here we go. Ready? Whoa. You see, I only stop this foot. I only stop one foot. I don't try to control my horses. That outside foot always represents the last 10% of his heart. So I try that in our discipline, our boundaries, our no's, we do a lot of corporate training. I've never found a person yet without a vision. I found very few who understood what it was. Why? Because a vision is not what you can't do. A vision is what you get to do. And so we're going to put this colt and we're going to stop him on the right hand. We're going to stop the left hind leg on the colt. only the left hind leg. He argues with me. He's a little stud colt, and he thinks he knows what's best, so I hold him till he gets soft, and I never stop him if he's arguing with me. Horses do not hear unless they're relaxed. So I make him rest right here. He's resting, 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 resting. Whoa. I stop this hind leg right there. If I stop that leg, the rest of his life is in order. If Jesus reaches your heart, friends, the rest falls in place. The purpose of a no is always a yes. Now, once we get that colt going, we start teaching him how to hear and benefit from the word no, whoa, slow. So we do up downs. So I'll take this colt and he's walking, and I'll get him to hear my seat. Walk. Good. Trot. Walk. Jog. Walk. He's not hearing. So I'll reinforce it. Ask, tell, kill. Command. These things speak, exhort, reprove with all authority. So the key with teaching a horse to be attentive is the consistency. The hardest part has nothing to do with the horse. It has to do with you and your life. So here's the ask. Here's the canter. Walk. He wants to hear. Why? It always brings him back in fellowship. The purpose of the no is because you're trespassing. You're full of iniquity. You're self-willed. You got your own fantasies going. Canter. Whoa. He's not quick enough to change gears, so I get after him a little bit. I remind him of the benefit, and I let him have the consequence of not hearing. So I'll ask him to canter again. Canter. I'll turn him to left. Walk. Walk. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the way of escape and how the way of escape always is the way to perfect outcomes. And you're going to find that every horse is going to gravitate to that gate tomorrow. Watch this horse up here. You're going to see it today. Watch this horse now. When he cuts this end short, I let him alone. Watch him shorten this end of the arena. Watch him elongate this end of the arena. Why? Because they're all having cookies and milk over there. Walk. Inside of all of our hearts, we're going to find flesh patterns. Horses have them. You're going to see them tomorrow. And there's always a way of escape, always a way to what? It's not about perfection. It's about fellowship. Fellowship is the result of walking in harmony with God. So now, you've seen that we're riding without a bridle. Then, I eventually go to 2 reins. Why? Well, because I can only go to 2 reins, a lot of authority, when he learns how to rest under a lot of accountability. So I hold him up, lift his belly up, hold him in harmony until he learns to rest. And he's not. He's arguing with me this morning. Good. I want that. Till he rests. So all these little things are no. You can't stick your head in the air. No. You're a greater horse than that. So no. You can't look at those mirrors. No. You can't be off for recess. Yes. You get to ride in fellowship. Yes. You get to do great things. Yes. You get to have harmony. Whoa. Yes. Why? He chose. It's a lot of work to be in fellowship, isn't it? It's a lot of work to have marital harmony, to be in fellowship with the Lord. That's why he says, labor to rest, doesn't he? It's a lot of work to rest. fact, I think it's the hardest work there is because of anxieties, fears, distractions, immaturities, excuses, fiery darts, whatever. But now, you see, I can put this horse on a 2-rein stop, and eventually he'll have no bridle. He's getting there. I'm going to put him on a right lead canter. Now, I couldn't put those 2 other horses on this kind of a reality. 2 reins, because he understands lift, accountability, alignment, softness, collection, communication. Whoa. And I'll get after him a little bit because he came and he hollowed out and he's like, I can't do that. And I'll push him back here. Put him up, ride him up, ride him up, put him in tighter accountability. 2 reins this time. Whoa. There we go. The key to greatness is that every no always is a yes. Now, let me leave you with one illustration. Hey, little runt. He's allowed to leave me. Backwards. He wants to play, he can play. So I'll just take his idea of running away and I'll let him do it under my terms. This is not a good horse. Whoa. Whoa means rest, not run off. Whoa. Hey. He's young. Whoa. Let me explain something to you and leave you with this thought. The woes of Christ were not because he hated those people. In fact, the reason Jesus told people not to go and tell about his miracles is because all the scribes and Pharisees got it secondhand. He came for the Jews. He came for those reprobate rascals that were contrary to the Scriptures and yet using the Scriptures. But when they told the miracles, they got things secondhand, and he couldn't even go into the cities anymore. So everything they heard about Jesus was secondhand, and that always leaves you with an inflamed conclusion. So, let's just say I've shown you this before. I'm going to tell it to you again for your fact that you may be new. Here's a water hose, a garden, a hydrant, a source of water. Over here is a garden. And the purpose, especially in Texas and Oklahoma lately, is to get that water to the garden before we lose our vegetables, right? How many of you raise gardens? Well, then you know water is extremely important. So you go get yourself a hose, but you get yourself a church hose. And you screw it on there. And the church hose, when you put water on it, has a hole here and a hole here. It's a holy hose. It goes out here, goes out there, and it leaks. By the time you get to the garden, hey, you see he's not resting. He's watching for a way of escape unrighteously. And he wants to know if my no really means no. So I say to the hose, no, 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 no. Yes! Yes, thank you. I got one amen chorus over here. The purpose of the no is the rest. Many of you are not living by rest. Your anxiety takes you into too many things. It causes you to live in the past with guilt and shame that you not need to have on. See, he only checks. He's like a dog on the carpet. He checks that one foot to see if I'm paying attention when I'm on the phone, whether the no object means no. You see, the no object in the Garden of Eden said what? That's what I thought you'd say. It said yes to everything. No to one footfall. But the sin nature always looks at what I can't do, doesn't it? The sin nature only hears what God doesn't want us to do. The reason for no to wrong relationship is saying yes to right relationship. The reason to no, hey, to me, see, he knows exactly where yes is. He's not a good horse. He's a great horse. Some of you this week are wrestling with no's. Restriction of your life physically, financial restrictions, they're all the same kind of no's. You're in a conflict in a relationship, you're testing your parents, you don't believe your parents are where they should be, whatever. You're wrestling with those no's. You see that right hind leg? See how it rests? See his front feet rest and see the hind leg rest? Okay, because he's abiding in me. Now the horse has worked hard, he needs that no matter what. Notice this. As I walk around here, watch where the horse's focus is. It was on those mares, those beautiful mares down there. Watch his ears. Why does he do that? It's because of the yes. You see, he knows in me he has peace. In me, he has rest. Now, a few minutes ago, he was thinking, if I could just get away from this guy, then I could go play. I could go do foolish things. But you see, he's hunting for me because his identity, his worth, his conclusion, his ability to rest and become hopeful about his future rest entirely upon his focus on me. So I said, whoa, 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 whoa. And he says, you can't let me have any fun. Nope. But I can take you on the narrow path to greatness if you'll let me direct you through the no's and the woes into something far greater, where you are admired and coveted and have a platform to influence others. Let's pray together. Father, whatever the no's and woes are in our life, whatever the boundaries are that limit us, cause us to look to you as the author, the perfecter of our faith, who is jealous for our maturity, jealous for our passion and fulfillment through the gifts you've given us to do great and mighty things that we don't even know about. If we'll only accept your no's in our vocabulary, no's in our conversations, that there are boundaries to everything that matter, so that you may empower us to speak kindly, speak edifyingly, speak correctly, that you may cause us to humble ourselves and stay within the boundaries of our covenants and our commitments, that we might find that every one of your ways is perfect, and in them there are fullness of joy. Father, bless this time in Jesus' name. Amen. Any questions while you're here? Besides, is Cammie okay? She's good, she said.